Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. What's going on, guys? Now, another Terence Crawford video. Wanted to talk about more of the business aspect of this Victor Postol fight. Now, as you guys know, the fight just recently took place. It was on pay-per-view, HBO pay-per-view. And honestly, I thought it was a really bad move. You know, I mean, you could spin it both ways. You know, obviously the fight did have big implications. It is one of those rare fights we have in boxing right now, where you have number one versus number two in their division fighting at their natural weight in a unification fight. So I get that part of it. So for Top Rank to go get, you know, Christina Poncher to get up there on camera and try to sell the fight, people to go buy it, fine, I understand. But it's, in actuality, it's not really a pay-per-view fight, because Terence Crawford, much as I like him, doesn't have that name value yet or name recognition yet to be a pay-per-view star. Victor Postol definitely doesn't have that as well. So I feel like, you know, although Crawford had a virtuoso performance, had a great performance. Obviously, I would have liked to see him get the knockout. I believe he could have done it in that fight against Postol. But you know, still a really good performance by Crawford. So with that being said, you know, I feel like HBO and Bob Arum and Top Rank did him a huge disservice by making this a pay-per-view fight, because what they in turn did is they turned off any casual. They pretty much eliminated any casual boxing fan watching that fight. Keep in mind, Postol and Crawford are not huge names, so that's a fight for mainly hardcore fight fans anyway. But even the hardcore fight fans, I know a lot of them were not paying $60 to watch that fight. So, you know, they did a big disservice to their fighter. Now, I feel like Top Rank is in a weird. Terence Crawford, as far as, you know, being a star in the sports world, in the sport of boxing, you know, I feel like he's in a weird, precarious situation, because, you know, that should have been a fight that they should have put on free HBO. They should have used to propel him into the limelight. And he probably would have done, you know, a couple $100,000. That would have been a good number for Crawford. But they put it on pay-per-view. You know, it could have been because of the HBO budget cuts, but I think they could find a way around it. Now that he won, I feel like, you know, there's only two options for him. It's either one, you know, you take Terence Crawford and you put him in a string of fights on free HBO. Like, so, for example, there's still some good names at 140. You know, you can put him in against a Adrian Granados. You can put him in against a Batiste, a Provodnikov, or John Molina, Jesse Vargas. Put him in against the likes of those guys. Obviously, he should win. You know, put him in 2 or 3 fights on HBO. Get the people to continue to know his name and keep building him up, keep him active. Then you push him into a big fight, or you say, forget that. We're gonna push him straight into a big fight. And to be honest, the only big fights for him, the biggest fight being Manny Pacquiao. The Manny Pacquiao fight, I feel like is something that has to happen for Terence Crawford. As far as, you know, if you wanted him to become overnight, you know, kind of pay-per-view star or fighter, you could be built into pay-per-view star. He becomes a household name by fighting Pacquiao alone. If he beats Pacquiao, even better for him. But if you don't go with Pacquiao, if the Pacquiao fight never materializes, and I've heard it's not going to materialize, I've heard many different sides. I've heard that, you know, from Bob Arum, I've heard that his matchmakers aren't comfortable putting in Crawford with Pacquiao. I've heard, you know, I've heard Crawford's team say that, you know, Pacquiao hasn't signed any contracts, so you really don't know who to believe. You know, Michael Kantz, Pacquiao's advisor, has also said that Terence Crawford was never an option. So it just seems like that fight isn't going to happen, but I'm holding out hope it does. It's a fight I really want to see. So assuming that fight never happens, the big names for Terence are all at 147. Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman, Amir Khan, Sean Porter. You know, and a lot of them are Al Heyman guys. And now that Al Heyman and Bob Arum are supposed to be promoting, you know, this opens up the door for those fights. Personally, I feel like if Terence, Top Rank and Bob Arum want to capitalize off of the name recognition of Terence Crawford, they want to, and not capitalize it, but I'm saying, like, enhance it, build it up, make him more of a household name, then the guy they got to put him in with at 147 is Keith Thurman. Because Keith Thurman has a mouthpiece. Keith Thurman can talk. Keith Thurman can put, you know, behinds in the seats because of his personality. He has a good fighting style as well, good fighter. And the stylistically, the fight could be very exciting. It could also be very boring. But we saw, because I was there for Hank Lundy, Terence Crawford. Hank Lundy, very talkative guy, very rambunctious personality. But the way he was acting, he brought out a different side of Terence, a more exciting side of Terence, and Crawford turned in one of his most exciting performances, one of his best and most dominant performances over Hank Lundy. Now, obviously, he was expected to go in there and do what he did, but he still went out there and did it against a guy in Lundy who has made guys like Victor Postal struggle. So, not an easy guy to look good against, and he made it look easy. So, I think that's the fight for him. But even if that fight doesn't happen, you still have Danny Garcia. That's one fight. I mean, business stuff aside, that's the fight I want to see. Obviously, Danny Garcia being a proven unified champion, the previous proven unified champion 140. Terence Crawford, the current proven one champion 140. They both have amateur history, so obviously it'd be a rematch of the amateur days, and a win for either one of those guys. If Terence Crawford wins that fight, if he was fighting in his next fight and he beats him, then you gotta start considering Terence Crawford possibly pound for pound number 1, maybe 2. If Danny Garcia wins, that you would have to say that definitely shoots him onto the pound for pound list. Danny Garcia is probably looking at the top. If the pound for pound list was more than 10 people and it was 15, you probably have to say he's in the top 15. So probably shoots him into the top 10, maybe into the top 7 or 6, and it gets him a really great name on his resume. There's a lot of options for Terence. I feel like Top Rank did him a huge disservice, and they kind of took 2 steps forward. Even though he turned in a great performance, they took 2 steps backwards, I should say, with the way they handled everything in the promotion. So, personally, Thurman and Garcia, those are the 2 names for Crawford that I feel he should be fighting. Unless there's some sort of Mayweather fight, which I highly doubt, but let's fighting Mayweather. Garcia, Keith Thurman are the fights that should happen for him within the next 2 fights. If he wants to take a soft touch, maybe defend his 140-pound title one more time, go ahead and do so. But when he moves to 147, those are the 2 names that he needs to go after. Assuming that those guys are still, as hot as they are now. If not, then go to Earl Spence. I think an Earl Spence Terence Crawford would be amazing. That's a ridiculously true 50-50 fight. That's not one you got to rationalize. That's a 50-50 fight. Earl, the body punching, Terence with the boxing and the punching. I personally, you guys know me. I think Crawford could beat anybody from 135 to 147. Even a couple guys at 154. I think he's that good. But yeah, man, just want to get that out there. Those are my thoughts on the whole, how they handled his promotion and whatnot. But you guys let me know what you think. Terence Crawford, what should be the next move for him? What's your overall take on how Top Rank handled promoting this fight with him and Victor Postal? Let me know in the comments down below. Take the time. Oh my God. Let me know in the comments down below. Take the time to subscribe, and you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Dania. So until next time, take care, guys. Man, I'm rusty. It's crazy.